All right, so thinking back in all of your time, so one weird question. Did you laugh when Linda McMahon became the education,
Yeah, of
federal
course.
education? Do you like what she's been doing
Oh, with A1?
with anything? They like shutting down the federal Department of Education, all the decisions that are being made at a federal level. Is she doing a good job? Even though you like wrestling, you can't give it a yes.
I mean, these are deeply unserious people.
Yes, but they are
I
deeply
mean, there are
serious.
serious consequences to all of this, but what I don't understand is why are emails going out from other organizations talking about legislation that will pass or could pass that will be so great for charter schools. And it's like, there's no Department of Education. Who's going to implement or enforce any of this or do anything with any of
Our
this?
ready, our State Department of Education that already feels overburdened. And let's just say these are organizations, the authorizers are organizations that don't need more money. Like straight out, they don't need more money. And SUNY just received 13 letters of intent, only moved one forward, and the regions haven't chartered a school since 2021. But yet they have a federal grant for over $121 million. And a chunk of that grant money is for new school growth in New York. And the federal government right now has the opportunity, they are aware, to call it out in New York, and they choose not to.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. In terms of the stuff Linda McMahon's doing, it's just who knows who's actually making the decisions there. Not to sound
Not
like one of
her.
these, people who was like, oh, is Biden really running the country? But you look at the McMahon's political history, they made a donation to Ron DeSantis during the pandemic, and suddenly professional wrestling was considered an essential industry, so they could keep taping WWE Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown and NXT at the Performance Center or whatever during the pandemic so they could keep their television programs running. Like these are the same people who helped fund with dark money the same rally on January 6th, 2021. Like, they don't have any actual intention or care about what happens with the Department of Education. They just want to close it down. They don't care what the states actually do. These people just want to go in and break everything. They don't
It's going to
care
be
about any
interesting.
children. We always talk, you say in all these videos, like it's about helping the kids. These people do not actually care about kids. They don't. I know Linda
I think
McMahon
that way
oversaw a
too.
great reading program like Headlock on Hunger and Body Slam reading and all this other stuff. Like, they don't care. They do not care.
They totally don't care. All right, so here's a big question. How has working in the charter school world changed how you'll look at your own children's education? But before you answer, I worked in the charter school world while you were in school. So every time I got a call, right, I'm going to be like, so here's what you actually have to do because we read the parent manual or whatever it is. So you've now worked in education, whether there was a gap in that or not. How has it changed how you are going to work with your kids and their education through the school system?
I mean, I would say just, advocating for them more, which I mean sounds like I wouldn't advocate for them before, but obviously I would. But I don't know. It's just being more aware of what goes on, how the money flows, just how things work. Even in little ways, like I remember when we were down at my in-laws and we were talking about schools, and I was able to pull up like the NICEAD report card website, and my in-laws were like, "What? You found that?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like this is just things you learn from working in this, but um was being able to.
Isn't that
Uh,
weird to you that somebody didn't know that information's public? And you should look
yeah, the
at it
state
because your
doesn't want
tax
you to know
dollars
all
are
that
paying
stuff's just
for it?
out there. Because then
What?
you might ask questions.
But you're paying taxes. I think that's what's mind blowing to me. You're paying taxes and we're not asking questions. Working in the charter school world gave me such perspective in the education you guys were going to get and what the district had money for, what they didn't, what needed to fall on parents reading. You read to your kids, right? Like all of those things that you would do anyway because you had it at home. But it also told me what the school couldn't and couldn't do, like could or couldn't do. And we weren't having it. And I think the best thing is there's something happened with you one time in school, and somebody on the school board said their worry with me was that I was going to try to open a charter school up in Burn Knox, Westerlo. And it's like, I don't
There
even
wouldn't be enough
know.
enrollment.
What I want you to do is explain to me where my tax dollars are going. I know what it was about. I know what it was about. Remember, you used to have summer reading
Yeah.
and we had to go get books. And it's like, okay. And I turned the books over and they were below, like, I think you were going into fourth grade and the book said like 2.9 and third grade. And I called whoever your English teacher was going to be. And I was like, he can already read these. Like, and they got mad and they said, well, the majority of the kids in his classroom can't. I was like, how is that my problem? And then they had the principal. It may have been the principal got arrested. Was she there when you
Oh,
were
she was high
there?
school. She was high school.
Okay,
So it
so
wouldn't have been
so
her.
maybe it was like, was she also middle school principal?
No, I can't remember who the principal would have been back then.
I mean, yeah, you're older. It sucks to get older. And I remember I was like, no, he's not reading these. Find something his reading level. It should be differentiated. And it just became a brawl. Whoever the principal was called me. Why am I being difficult? Why do you have such low expectations? And it was like at that moment, I would have never looked, right? I'd been in schools and like, oh, the reading levels. And so I started checking everything you guys were reading to be like, oh my God, can my kids read? And it became a brawl. I don't even know if you remember that. I'm like, I can afford to buy his books. They're like, well, you can get them at the library if you can't afford them. That's not the problem. I know I can go to the library. The library is telling me this is not even a third grade level. And I think you were going into fourth or fifth. And I wasn't having it. And I'm like, I'm not going to make him read them. Well, there's going to be a paper due on them when he starts. Great, he can read them in a weekend. Like, you're not going to ruin his summer. So we'll do whatever you want. And then whoever your English teacher was that year, you must have switched classrooms, was furious and would just send things to me through email about the books. And I'm like, hi, looked at the book you're giving the class to read. Please give Joe something different. We can't do that. This is the book for class. Well, then give him something extra. And I think when you have kids and you realize the place you're sending them for an education has such low expectations as a parent, you go, we effed up. Like, we should like go to these meetings and demand it, like demand that there is better. And then the one time I did show up and try to speak to it, I was told I didn't understand. It's like, or I do, like I clearly do. I just paid $6,000 school tax. Half your kids can't read. Like, do you know that I had never, when we lived up there, looked at state test exams until you guys started taking state test exams? Like, what's the proficiency rate in a school where there's only 50 kids per grade? It shouldn't be 40%.
Hmm.
Michelle said it when she was here. She said, we put so much money towards education and rural schools get far less than urban schools. Why aren't we investing equally? And it's a fair comment. Like,
Yeah.
we're not doing that equally. So what do you think you'll do differently for your kids? Like be more vocal. Now you have to watch what they bring home, books
Um,
they read in class.
I mean, I'm curious what technology will be like in the classroom by the time they are fully school age.
Oh, I
Because,
don't
like, for
want
me, there was basically no technology in the classroom when I was in school. And then now talking to these other schools who I work with, everybody's using Chromebooks, things like that. But then I don't know how things will be here because in just a traditional district school, you tend to see less, I don't know, structure or rigor around things of that nature.
to. All right, my last question. Think back to any moment. What was the absolute funniest moment you can remember, either with the association or Empire, where it is an epic story that we still laugh at today?
Oh, probably the time the building superintendent or whatever building manager was standing in our office and his phone rang and his ringtone was Fat Bottom Girls by Queen and he was like bright red trying to scramble to turn his phone off.
Paul, what's his name? Paul, who was wore the
Yeah.
long
Or
leather
that
coat.
time the bat flew out of the ceiling.
And John left the building and went to
Yeah,
like
we
a
hid in your
Lowe's.
office.
Uh, yeah, those were hilarious times. Any
Uh,
advice for anybody who wants to get involved in the charter school world?
yeah, don't. No.
You know, when people say they want to open a school, it's the first conversation I have with them.
I
Like,
mean, it's tough because if somebody wants to open a school, I'm assuming they're, in the parlance of the Bachelor franchise, in it for the right reasons. But, um, you know, what do you do in New York? The regions have no interest in authorizing,
true.
and SUNY is clearly just, they only want to give charters to the big networks. If that, I mean, their latest round there of the latest solicitation, they what said one of 13
What are the
proposals.
chances?
Yeah, that was totally not political or anything of that nature. Um,
They SUNY overrode one too many things to the regions.
so
I can't
it's
even
hard
blame the
because there's
regions.
clearly communities that have need all around the state. Um, but I don't even know. Like, go work for the new association that's starting up, maybe. Maybe they'll try to get something done and
You know
try to
what
actually
I
advocate.
actually found is that
We're not paid by this new association. I know this is
we're
the
not,
second
by the
time
way, we are not paid by them.
I've mentioned
We
them.
were all like genuinely surprised when we saw the ad. Like, what? I hope this person knows what they're walking into. The advice question comes from when I'm talking to people who want to open a school and I tell them the truth about what's involved, and then they talk to somebody else, and this happened. They talk to somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, so we're going to have this person, but thank you for all the information you gave us." And then they call me like 2 months later, and they're like, "This was way worse than we thought." It's like, right. If somebody asks you what it's like, it's super hard work. There's nothing, you're about to start another application on Friday for renewal. And it's like, we're going into it knowing there are problems and that we have to figure out everything in the next 3 months, and 3 months will go like that.
Yeah, I mean, not even just dealing with the issues of actually running the school or setting up a school. The authorizers themselves every year try to make it so a new application or a renewal application becomes more confusing, repetitive, bureaucratically onerous, uh, for reasons, just for reasons. Just, there's
Every
no
single
real
time there's
reason.
something new. And I know this, listen, I've been trying to collect as much information for you as possible, but I genuinely think people come into this with the best of intentions and at some point go, what the hell's happening? I don't know literally anyone over 27 years who hasn't taken a break and been like, what is even going on right now? But
Yeah, I mean, every renewal application I've worked on, there's always been a moment of like, how come we're answering this again? Because like questions are repetitive throughout, and it's just, I don't know. They ask the same questions 3 times, worded differently across different sections because they just make you jump through hoops. And
I
then it's not
saved
clear
an
they actually
email.
read it because then you have to do like a summary too.
I saved an email, and I can't remember which application. Must have been last year or the year before, where you and Andrea had been working on something, and then I think it went to Jess to like take her on, like we had all looked at it. Jess was gonna be the last set of eyes feedback, and Jess actually wrote us, and she's like, a lot of this is repetitive, and you and Andrea both responded at the same time, like, yes, the entire application is repetitive. Like, how many different ways can we say it? And so that's been a few years. All right,
Yeah.
Joe, any questions for me?
Um, yeah, are you looking forward to 27 more years?
We're going to brain dump on you so that at some point when I retire, that you'll never even have to ask me a question. Um, the movement has made me super sad as of late. Like, and when we hang, so when I stop recording and you and I just speak, and I tell you what Andrea did, because it's true Andrea in the best of sense. Um, we have lost the ability to police ourselves in the way that we should be. And so I made that joke in the last one. I'm not going to retire until I die, and my retirement party and my funeral will be at the same day. And that's probably not really true. I will probably go before then. 27 years and all the things that should have changed didn't. And you got to stop and wonder, has it worked the way we thought the charter school movement would work and help kids, which is, for kids who grew up like me, where my family grew up, like you have a right to go to college and you can do this and you can read and write and we're going to help you apply to colleges, whatever it is. When I look at 27 years, do I think we are any better off than I did in 1999? I don't. I I think we're worse off. I'm not saying everything is bad and we're all going to hell in a handbasket, but have we proven ourselves to beat the state standards? And what we've done is we've lowered our standards to meet district standards. So if you're in Rochester and the district's 17% and you're 18%, why are you saying you're better than the district? Like, that's not what this was for. So 27 more years? No, because I'll wind up going to prison. Um, I think we've made a lot of mistakes as a movement that make me just go, these are mistakes that you can't fix. And I'm not sure I've ever felt like that before. We definitely can't fix them without a huge shakeup and admittance that we're screwed. So you've got like 2 years, TikTok, mother ever, to get all the institutional knowledge you can from my head, because that's about how much longer I will last. Because I can't go to jail and I don't want to be banned from social media.
Okay.